USABL Nation, this is Mike Kolesar, and I am your host for USABL's Clubhouse Report. Our special guest today is Alex Skandalis. He runs United Collegiate and travel umpires. He assigns for the NCAA, several summer collegiate leagues and youth programs, from New Jersey rec programs to baseball complexes that host national events in Indiana, Georgia, Missouri, and the list goes on. Alex, we appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So let's get started with this. I know you talk with umpires at every level across the country. What's been the overall message you've been hearing from everybody?
I think umpires want to get back out there, and I think that that's natural for everybody in baseball right now. But I think also umpires, they want to be safe. They want to make sure that we're back out there safely, and they also want to make sure that we don't screw up the game of baseball too much. So, what are masks going to do, and what does changing rules do? And there's a lot of questions in terms of that. But, overall, I think everybody's got that cabin fever, from coaches to players to umpires to parents, and we'd love to get back out there as safely and soon as possible.
Do you think that they would feel safe right now? And what are their thoughts on actually wearing, masks in the field?
I think that there's been some surveys done. We've done some surveys. I think that umpires would wear masks and gloves to get out there. Now, obviously, nothing is, 100-0. It's always 80-20, 90-10. So, but guys want to get back out there. But the concern I really have with masks and gloves is, when we turn to the summer and it's 85, 90 degrees, that's tough. We look at hospital workers and things like that. They're wearing those things in a controlled, air-conditioned environment. You walk around with a mask on when it's 90, 95 degrees out, that's hot. And now you talk about, I'm going to work 3 games, I'm going to work 4 games, I'm going to catch an entire game. So we're really going to have to look at those things before we make a decision globally or league by league, whether those are options for all of us.
It'll be interesting to see. Well, there's been some talk about moving the plate umpire behind the mound. What's lost if the umpire does do that?
I actually think the biggest loss is just our fair foul calls up the first base and third base line. I would actually say at the most levels of amateur baseball, our plate umpires or plate umpires from behind the mound would be more accurate back there than they were behind the catcher. You would have some slight issues with extreme accuracy at the highest levels if you needed that accuracy, like balls that are half a baseball or 2.5 inches off the plate. But in general, I think putting an umpire behind the pitcher's mound, we would probably get more accurate strike zones from amateur level umpires.
Interesting. Now, with you being involved with travel programs and collegiate programs, how do you see the youth state of play type venues and collegiate programs who depend on host families being affected by the pandemic?
Well, I think we've seen that the leagues, especially collegiately, that depend on host families, a lot of them have said, we're just not going to be able to do this year. Now, Cape Cod, New England Collegiate, NYCBL, those guys have all said, like, number one, we're in the Northeast, we're still, probably far behind other people, but we're also not going to put our communities, we're not going to put our families, we're not going to put the players, at risk with that kind of travel and that kind of thing. So I would say the more local college leagues that kids stay in their own beds and go to the field, play, and go home, I would say like your league, definitely have a chance. But it's going to be really tough for anybody that's depending on host families to ask people to let those people in their homes, coming from all over the place, and feel comfortable with that. So I don't have a great feeling about any league that has to use host families to support their players.
Yeah, and one by one, they're knocking off as you see on a daily basis. So we call Mondays Damage Control Monday. Is Mondays one of your favorite days? After a long weekend of dealing with stuff.
Monday is, I'm sure, just like you guys, Monday's a crazy day. It's everyone's digested the weekend and now they want to make the phone call, send the email. And I would say, 12, 13 consecutive Mondays there during the college baseball season. It's just like, okay, when's it going to stop? And sometimes Monday becomes Tuesday.
100%. You're always looking for umpires, I'm sure. What's your elevator pitch to recruit umpires?
I don't have one, I really don't. And it's because if somebody doesn't want to be an umpire, it's really tough to convince them to want to do that. It's not like another job, but
Yeah.
I will say this: there's two groups of that I like to target, and we've targeted more and more, especially for youth amateur stuff, and that is players that are not going to play anymore, whether it be they're high school seniors and they're not going to play in college, or college seniors that are not going to play, anything professional. And I think those guys are a great group to recruit for umpiring. They have a lot of experience in the game, and obviously have some athleticism because they're still playing or just finished playing. And I think we've had some good success training those guys, especially for 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s. We can almost throw those guys out there with just very little training, and they can feel their way through and help the kids and things like that. And that's what we need. And then the other group is the dad that has had all his kids kind of leave the nest. So he was a coach for Little League, pony ball, whatever. Now the kids might be in a travel program where they have paid coaches, or the kids have moved on to college, and now he's like, oh, I've been involved with baseball coaching for like 8 years. Now what do I do? And I think we've had some success turning some of those guys into umpires as well and giving them some training. And I just think with unemployment and everything now, I see the umpiring world. Unfortunately, it's usually a kind of an opposite curve to how the economy's doing. So economy, unemployment, bad. People hustling goes up, and umpires a hustle side job. And so, the last few years here, we've seen a really, really solid economy, umpiring falling off. And I think we're going to get some of the inverse effect of that now. So unfortunate from the standpoint of where we're at as a country with everything that's going on, but I think will help umpiring.
Makes sense. Let's go. Let's switch gears. We're going to do a quick rapid fire round for you.
Okay.
Whatever pops into your head first here. What's the biggest game you've worked in your umpire career?
Championship game, Division III College World Series on the plate.
That's exciting. Can you sleep on weekends? I mean, what's the most common excuse you hear from an umpire if they're bailing on a game, late? I mean, is there a panic mode when you're worrying about making sure every game is covered with the amount of umpires and whatnot?
Yeah, I think for me, it's the biggest panic is not getting them covered, but all those time slots that come up during a Saturday. So it's like 8 a.m. I know I've got 60 games starting in different spots. What time's the first phone call going to be? Then I've got another 30 at 9 a.m. and another 40 at 10 a.m. And it's like, okay, I made it. It's 8:15. No one's called. We're probably good.
No news is good news. Yeah.
News is good news in terms of people showing up.
Right. Are you for or against time limits?
I'm for them.
Okay.
At certain levels. Especially youth. I think there's a level of concentration that we all need in youth baseball, and to have an 8, 9, or 10-year-old out there for more than 2 hours or an hour and 45 minutes seems like it gets a little bit counterproductive. So that's one thing. I'm also really a fan of run rules. I just think at some point games get out of control, and again, especially at the younger ages, people lose concentration, and now we get an injury or something like that. So, play, want to get better, but at some point we all kind of mail it in, and maybe it's better to just stop the game.
Agreed. Do you have any calls that haunt you from your umpiring past?
Ooh. Not that I can think of. But I'm sure there's been some. I'm sure that I've missed some pitches that I wish I could get back, and I will say as a plate umpire, when you miss a strike three that should have been called strike three, the next pitch somehow is always a base hit. Like it's like the baseball god just will not forgive umpires. The guy never swings through the next pitch for the same result. It's like, here comes a 3-run homer. I missed strike three. Here comes a 3-run homer. So I'm sure I've had a few of those that have haunted me, and I just think it's funny that it just always seems to happen. No break for the umpires.
You've been all over the country. What state's got the loudest like fans with coaches or parents?
Oof. Geez, it's so different everywhere. I would say I mean, and it's not even really from working down there, but I went to support some people, and I mean, when I went to some of these SEC type stadiums to support some of my friends who were working regionals and tournaments, so I mean, those people are so into baseball, and they're so loud and sometimes raunchy. You go to different places, and every place is a little bit different, just in terms of their level of intensity, but yeah, definitely some of those SEC schools, and I guess from a lot of us knowing football, I'm sure that's not really a surprise. But
No, yeah,
they're into their teams, and that's kind of what they're all about. So it's a really cool atmosphere for everybody.
yeah, that's a totally different environment for everybody there.
Yeah.
Well, listen, there's going to be a huge baseball community watching this interview. Can you give us a positive takeaway through everything that's been going on?
I just think like the whole country uniting and everybody understands where everyone else is at. We have so many small businesses, so many foundations that people are trying to support. Obviously, sports, baseball are a huge part of our community, but I think we've done a really good job of trying to promote that we want to play, we want to be out there, but also understanding that baseball isn't the absolute most important thing. We got to make sure our lives and our jobs and our schooling is all set. So I just think it's really cool how our communities have come together. I mean, the last time I can remember something where we all came together was 9/11 or some of the different hurricanes where people lost their homes. And it's just bad times like this always seem to bring the silver lining of people coming together, and you guys being in New York and New Jersey and me also being from that area. It's just, there's something special about that area of the country as we see it and coming together. And I'm proud to always be a part of that. And I know we'll be back on the field soon, and be happy to be playing some baseball again, umpiring some baseball again.
100%. That's a great way to look at it. Well, Alex, we appreciate your time. And on behalf of the USABL staff, we hope that everybody watching stays home, they stay safe, and stays hopeful that we will be out there sooner than later. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Mike.